I shouldn't have been surprised when, right in the middle of our wedding night, my wife's childhood friend posted a worrying message online. It was about standing on the edge of a cliff, suggesting he was ready to end his life. My wife, Sophia, jumped up instantly, ready to run out and find him, but her father was right there. His voice was firm, stopping her immediately. "If you don't stay to finish this wedding today, you are no longer considered my daughter." She was so upset, but she eventually gave in to her father's demand. The next day, the news arrived. The friend, Ethan, had fallen from the cliff. Surprisingly, Sophia was calm. She didn't cry or show any real emotion. 30 years later, I found myself gravely ill and confined to bed. I had dedicated my entire life to the Hawthorne family, the family I married into. Sophia stood by my bedside, our son Julian beside her. Then she started pouring gasoline all over me. "Robert, if you hadn't insisted on marrying into my wealthy family, I could have been happy with Ethan for a lifetime," she sneered. "Here's the painful truth. I used Ethan's sperm for in vitro fertilization. Isn't that infuriating? You spent your life raising the child of the man I truly loved." The flames quickly enveloped me, and I died in excruciating pain. Suddenly, I opened my eyes. I was back. I found myself on the night of our wedding, hearing that same cruel ultimatum echoing in my ear. "Sophia, if you don't stay to finish this wedding today, you're no longer our daughter." It was the stern voice of Sophia's father, Mr. Hawthorne. I snapped back to reality, shivering from the painful memory of being burned alive. I saw the wedding room, decorated in red symbols of celebration, and Sophia sitting on the bed in her gown, her face wet with tears. I realized I had been reborn. Sensing my gaze, Sophia looked up. Her eyes were red and swollen, filled with deep-seated resentment. "Robert," she hissed, "don't think for a moment that forcing me to stay will ever make me love you. I will hate you for a lifetime." Sophia's snarling voice and that look of disdain were chillingly similar to the look she gave me before she set me on fire. A cold sweat broke out all over me. I was trembling slightly. At that moment, Mr. Hawthorne turned to me. "Robert, don't worry about Sophia. She's just upset. I've watched you grow up. Your character and talents are top-notch, far better than Ethan's. Trusting Sophia to you gives us peace of mind." He patted my shoulder with a reassuring, almost loving expression. "Keep a close eye on Sophia. The wedding starts in half an hour." As he left the room, relying on his cane, Sophia hurled a teacup at me. "Look at you, poor and pathetic. How do you possibly compare to Ethan? Don't make me sick." The cup hit my forehead, shattering and cutting my skin. Warm blood quickly gushed out. I didn't make a sound. This minor pain was nothing compared to the heartache I had felt. Seeing my blood, Sophia was startled, and for a moment she looked guilty. "Why didn't you dodge?" Before I could answer, she seemed to realize something, and the look of disdain returned. "I get it. You want to go out injured to play the victim in front of my parents. Robert, you're such a pathetic sleazebag." Looking at the depth of Sophia's hatred, I suddenly realized how futile and laughable all my efforts and sacrifices in my previous life had been. My parents had both worked for the SW Group and had saved Sophia's grandfather in a car accident, dying themselves in the process. The grandfather adopted me when I was 5 and brought me to live with the Hawthorns. For 20 years, Sophia's parents treated me like their own. Initially, Sophia was close to me, constantly tagging along and calling me Big Brother. That was until Ethan came along. His rebellious nature fascinated Sophia, and she became more and more obsessed over time. Seeing this, her father worried that Ethan would lead her down the wrong path, so he hastily arranged our marriage. I already had a PhD and a job lined up at a national laboratory, but I gave it up for the wedding. For 30 years, I poured my knowledge and effort into the SW Group's pharmaceutical development, pushing it into the top 3 in the country. In the end, I was left sick from overwork, burned to death, and without a grave. For Sophia, our marriage broke her and Ethan apart, but for me, it was a decision of self-sacrifice to repay the Hawthorns. I calmly opened the door. Looking at Sophia, still filled with hate, I said, "If your heart isn't here, our engagement is off. You can go." Sophia's eyes widened. She was shocked that I would sense such a thing. "You schemed for so long just to marry into the Hawthorne family. You were about to succeed and now you're simply being generous?" Noting her wary and suspicious expression, I felt a deep weariness. Out of gratitude toward the Hawthorns, I had always followed Sophia's lead, being patient almost to a fault. Ethan's deliberate smear campaign led Sophia and the city's elite to see me as a scheming man trying to marry rich by courting favor with Sophia's parents. As long as Sophia was close to Ethan, no amount of explanation could help. I bitterly shook my head. "Regardless of how you see me, I always considered you family. Even if we aren't a couple, I don't want to be your enemy." Sophia paused, looking at me hesitantly. For the first time in years, I saw a glimmer of the innocence she once had. "Okay, I'll trust you this once." She got up, changed into more casual clothes, and with my help, she bypassed the Hawthorne security and ran into the night. When Sophia's father discovered it, she had already reunited with Ethan, posting a video of them kissing in a hotel bed. Mr. Hawthorne was so angry that he smashed his phone on the spot and announced the wedding was postponed. It wasn't until the next day at noon that Sophia came back, hand in hand with Ethan. Her neckline was purposely low, and there were suggestive red marks all over it. You could easily imagine how intense the night had been. "Dad, Ethan and I are in love, and what's done is done. Maybe I already have your grandchild in my belly. You might as well agree to us being together." Ignoring my presence, Sophia cuddled and hugged Ethan, showing off their affection. "Sophia, you're out of your mind. You're jumping into a pit of fire." Sophia's dad looked furious, but had no choice. He warned Ethan, "You'd better shape up from now on. Don't be such a fool like before, and bring shame to the Hawthorns." Hearing this, Sophia knew her dad had given in, and she was overjoyed. But Ethan, looking nonchalant, glared at me and said, "Since Sophia and I are getting married, there's no need for an outsider like you to stay in the Hawthorne house, right?" Sophia's dad's expression changed, and even Sophia seemed taken aback. She tugged on Ethan's sleeve. "Ethan, is that really necessary?" "Why not? Just seeing his face reminds me of how shamelessly he tried to climb up to you. That alone makes me sick." Ethan shook off Sophia's hand and provocatively pointed at me. "Or you could just kneel, bark like a dog, and swear to be the Hawthorne's pet. Maybe then I'll throw you a bone." At those words, I locked eyes with Ethan. I had always stepped back because I didn't want history to repeat itself, not because I was scared of him. My stare seemed to irritate Ethan. He gritted his teeth and kept taunting. "What's the matter? You, an outsider, want to take a swing at the Hawthorne soon-to-be son-in-law?" At this point, Sophia's dad coldly snorted. "Humph. If you hadn't said anything, I would have thought you were the boss. Seems like ordering people around suits you well." I understood that Sophia's dad still supported me, even though I stepped back. Ethan couldn't hold it. "Oh, babe, say something for me." Ethan started shaking Sophia's arm like a child. Though Sophia seemed caught in a tough spot, she looked at me. "Robert, you can choose for yourself. Either do what Ethan says, or no need to talk anymore." "I never planned to stay," I said. My words made Sophia's dad stand up immediately. "How can you say that?" He grabbed my shoulder. "You're the chief pharmaceutical expert at SW Group. What about the unfinished drugs if you leave? Those are your hard work." Sophia's dad smiled wryly. I knew he wasn't worried about the impact on company performance. He just wanted to find an excuse to make me stay. Uncle, I've already recorded all the final drug data. The SW Group's expert team will assist you in finishing the research. I smiled. I wasn't angry about being kicked out. I felt relieved instead. As long as professionals continue with the research, there won't be any issues. It's just a pity I won't be able to help you anymore. Uncle, I hope you find a real successor soon. I made sure to remind Sophia's dad that the SW Group's experts were good and could handle my research, but only if people like Ethan didn't interfere. What do you mean, a real successor? Are you saying Sophia and I aren't fit to inherit? Ethan was furious, yet I didn't even give him a glance. Goodbye, Uncle. I was ready to leave. Stop right there. Ethan blocked my way. If you're leaving, then do it cleanly. Remember how you came into the Hawthorns? Well, leave the same way. Everything you wear, what you have on, what you drive, all bought with the Hawthorns' money. You have the gall to take them with you? Ethan lifted his chin, staring at me. It was clear he was just looking for problems. If you can't find a real reason to talk, just shut up. I shot him a cold look, not going far into it. Let's just say in the past 2 years, the 3 drugs I developed for SW Group each averaged over $10 billion in profits. $30 billion bucks, and you can't buy these things. I stared Ethan down, and his smile twitched. He failed again. I just wanted to let him know I was leaving on my own terms, not because some loser chased me out. But unexpectedly, Sophia bit her lip and stood in front of me. Robert, what you did was just to repay the Hawthorns for raising you all those years. I think Ethan's right. If you're leaving, you should leave the way you came. She looked up at me intently. Somewhere in my heart, I felt stabbed. I tried so hard to leave with dignity, but with one sentence, Sophia left me at a loss. Sophia, stop this nonsense! Sophia's dad slammed the table. I signaled for him to stop. Then I took off my watch and removed my jacket. Robert, don't listen to her nonsense. Sophia's dad urgently tried to stop me. I calmly said, It's fine, Uncle. I know who to blame for this. The underlying message was clear. This is between Ethan and me. Ethan finally showed his sinister smile. All right. Leave your underwear on and get lost. He waved his hand and happily hugged Sophia, kissing her over and over. Sophia, on the other hand, seemed a bit guilty and avoided making eye contact with me. I took a deep breath, took big strides, and left the place that was once called home. Outside, a large number of reporters had somehow gathered. Most of them were from finance and medical media. Some had even done interviews with me in the past. But today, they aimed their cameras and bombarded me with questions. Robert, is it true you postponed your wedding because the daughter of SW Group didn't want you anymore? Robert, seeing Sophia with someone else, how does that make you feel? You look like you've been kicked out with nothing. What are you going to do after leaving SW Group? Work in a factory? Laughter erupted from the crowd. Listening to their malicious questions, I knew exactly who orchestrated this. I calmly looked at them and grabbed a microphone. Time will prove everything to those waiting for me to fail. I said nothing more. Only endless ridicule and laughter followed. He's been abandoned by the Hawthorns and still puts on an act, they joked. Does he still think he's the chief advisor of SW Group? What is he without them? I bet time will only show us how funny you are, they mocked. Facing all the ridicule, I straightened up and walked away. They thought I had lost everything, but they didn't know I chose to give it all up. Out of sight, a humble red car stopped in front of me. Robert, on behalf of the National Laboratory, we warmly welcome you. An elderly man with graying hair stepped out. I smiled and shook his hand. Despite my lackluster appearance, those who valued me didn't care how I looked. Thank you for the trust, sir. I'm willing to dedicate my life to the lab. I got in the car decisively. As night fell, the Hawthorns were busy decorating for Sophia's wedding, but Sophia, who should have been happy, seemed less than thrilled. "Sophia, with Robert out of the way, we can finally be together," Ethan exclaimed, holding her hand. Sophia forced a smile, but her mind was filled with the image of Robert leaving. Had she gone too far? Robert had done so much for the Hawthorns, but left without a shred of dignity. "Ha ha ha, Sophia! Look! That fool Robert actually dared to do an interview." Ethan laughed. He showed her his phone. Sophia glanced at it and was pained by the barrage of comments. "Am I out of touch with the times? Can crazy people just roam the streets now? I bet he got fired from SW Group. That's why he's acting mad for sympathy. Can't the cops arrest him for offending my eyes?" Sophia felt irritated. Ethan chuckled at the comments as if they were his source of entertainment. "See, Sophia? I prepared this just for you so you won't feel guilty. Now look at his disgrace and see if you still feel anything for him." Ethan hugged her. Sophia hesitated, then quickly asked, "Did you send those reporters?" "Yeah, smart of me, right? He's caused such a scene even your dad won't want him back now," Ethan boasted. Sophia felt a pain in her chest. Despite her dislike for Robert, she felt sad seeing him this way. "Wait!" Sophia suddenly grabbed the phone, studying Robert's image closely. "Ethan, remember when I had that car accident at 15? She asked. "Of course. If I hadn't pulled you back, you'd be gone. But you still lost some memories, remember?" Ethan replied nonchalantly. Sophia bit her lip, focusing on Robert's scar, which ran from his right leg up to his waist. It made her dizzy. I'm feeling dizzy. I need to go." She left the room in a daze and rushed to Robert's villa. When she arrived, she found the crabapple tree she once planted for Robert was gone. The villa was empty, devoid of any trace of Robert. Even the graffiti they had once scrawled together was erased. Why is it like this? She wondered, feeling something inside her shatter and disperse. She hurried upstairs, only to find none of Robert's belongings remained. Then she thought of the attic. It had been their secret spot as kids, playing house with her as Mom and Robert as Dad. The attic was untouched. Sophia found one of Robert's journals. "Today is New Year's Eve, and also Sophia's birthday. I secretly grew a colorful daisy. Hope she likes it," she read. In the past, Sophia always said I was boring, but I just wanted to study hard to help her uncle and protect Sophia better. Tears flowed as she read each entry. Following her instincts for the dates, she noticed a pattern. Sophia seems to have mistaken the person who saved her for that guy, Ethan. But that's okay. I'm just a servant of the Hawthorns, and he even seems to be a rich second generation too. I hope he doesn't let Sophia down. There was a medical report there. Sophia opened it with trembling hands. All the emotions she had been holding in finally burst out, and she started bawling her eyes out. The report clearly stated that the injured person had over 60 stitches and had been hospitalized for half a month. The reason? Cut by the metal sheet of an out-of-control truck. Watching everything, Sophia finally recovered that part of her memory. That day, it was that idiot Robert who, without regard for his own safety, tackled her to the ground. But he ended up getting caught by the truck and was dragged over 10 meters away. No wonder she woke up with a tightly clenched, bright little daisy in her hand. She cherished the daisy dearly, but she couldn't remember who gave it to her or who saved her life. "No, you can't leave!" With trembling hands, Sophia carefully stored everything away. It was all wrong. Everything was wrong. All these years she thought it was Ethan who saved her, but she never imagined that it was Robert, whom she had hurt all these years, who was her true savior. Her cries caught the attention of the passing butler downstairs. Miss, are you okay? The butler quickly came up to ask. Is it something about Robert's stuff that's upset you? My mistake. Ethan told me to clean up, and I missed this. The butler felt really guilty, but Sophia suddenly looked up. Did you say Ethan ordered you to take everything away? The butler was startled, but nodded. Hearing this news, Sophia bit her lip hard, not caring about the pain. She rushed out. She hurriedly arrived at the SW Group's family banquet. As soon as she got there, she saw Ethan utterly drunk. A lot of people around were flattering Ethan, congratulating him on his upcoming wedding. But Sophia went straight up to him. Ethan, who told you to throw Robert's stuff away? Sophia seemed like an angry little lion. Everyone at the Hawthorns was taken aback. Ethan looked at her disapprovingly. Sophia, what's with you? It's a happy occasion. Why bring up such a buzzkill? Sophia bit her lip and stared at Ethan. All right, Sophia, I know you have strong empathy. But didn't we agree to say goodbye to the past? Robert was just a servant. What's he got to deserve such a nice villa? I've already decided that villa is for my parents to move into, so it's easier for them to take care of us after the wedding, especially when we have kids. Ethan didn't notice her intense gaze, calmly going on about his plans. I'm asking you, who gave you permission to touch his things? Sophia stared him down. Ethan was left speechless. He looked at Sophia, annoyed. Sophia, stop it! Are you really going to fight with me over some Robert? Don't forget who saved you. Saved me? Look into my eyes and say that! Sophia interrupted him. Ethan was stunned. Sophia, haven't you had enough? Her father's voice boomed. Who broke the engagement back then? Who abandoned Robert? And who personally drove him away? Haven't I told you not to be as reckless as before? Everything was your choice. What more do you want? Her father was furious. Image was everything to him. Sophia's broken engagement was already a big deal to him, and now she seemed to want to back out again. Sophia fell silent after hearing that. Yeah, this was all because of her own choices. Who could she blame? She quietly left, went back to her room, and locked the door. She read Robert's journals over and over. Almost every entry was about her. Almost every entry expressed his love for her. Sophia cried until her tears ran dry, and then drifted into a light sleep. In her dreams, she saw herself marrying Robert, but she couldn't feel happy. Year after year passed in her dream. She watched Robert do countless things for her and create many miracles for SW Group, yet she remained cold toward him, never sharing a bed with him in 5 years of marriage. Finally, she accepted Robert once, but she found out she was just using Robert, having secretly used Ethan's sperm for IVF, and the child wasn't his. To make it worse, after the child was born, Robert's love for her grew stronger. He worked hard to maintain their little family. He was the perfect husband and father. But in places he couldn't see, she was instilling in the child the idea that he wasn't the father, making the child hate him. Finally, years later, Robert fell ill. She didn't give him any money for treatment, and even took him back home while pouring gasoline all over Robert. Sophia finally broke down. No, no! Sophia woke up screaming, not knowing if it was a dream or a memory. Everything felt so real, but she couldn't understand how she could have done something so inhumane. Moments later, she cried and rushed out of the villa. She knelt at the door of her father's villa. Dad, please, Sophia begs you, help Sophia find Robert. Sophia knew she messed up. She knew she blew it all, and now all she wanted was Robert back. She cried her heart out. It felt like a chunk of her heart had been ripped away. The wound kept tearing deeper as she slowly learned the truth. On my first day at the National Laboratory, I was earmarked for special training. I avoided all the pharmaceuticals SW Group had, established and created my own research team. At first, nobody cared about a 25-year-old with a doctorate, and some even questioned whether SW Group had bought my degree. But when I shared my research data freely with everyone, I earned everyone's respect. Time flew by, and 5 years had passed. Now I'm the head of the medical department in the lab. All pharmaceutical research needs my approval before proceeding. This was possible thanks to the support from the nation. This assistance allowed me to elevate the country's drug standards to the global forefront and halve the production costs. As a result, medicine prices plummeted nationwide, and people received better access to advanced drugs. "Robert, the car for tonight's pharmaceutical summit is ready," my assistant said, entering the studio apartment the lab had set up for me. Without pausing from my work, I replied, "Get my suit ready, the one you ironed yesterday." She poured me a glass of warm water. "Robert, this isn't sustainable. You need a break," she said with concern, massaging my shoulders. I closed my laptop, took the glass, and reassured her. "Don't worry, Jennifer. I've got this." I patted her hand. She'd been my assistant for over 4 years, and my girlfriend for 2. Everyone in the lab supported our relationship. She stood by me tirelessly through night and day, recalibrating drug experiments, and is often credited for a good chunk of each project. Jennifer and I arrived, arm in arm, at the National Pharmaceutical Summit that night. For years, the National Laboratory shielded me, ensuring no outsiders disturbed my work. So no one knew I was the professor behind numerous breakthroughs until tonight. Under the spotlight, as the host introduced me, I became the center of attention. "Isn't that the former chief medicinal advisor of SW Group?" Someone recognized me. "Oh my gosh, no way! He's the one who elevated the entire pharma industry. Who would have thought he'd rise from a castaway? Once, when he was cast out, people mocked him online, saying he'd never bounce back. Well, it turned out he was right. Time does prove everything. SW Group must be kicking themselves. Oh wait, aren't they already struggling?" The hall buzzed with excitement. The live broadcast catapulted me to star status online. That night, I resurfaced in the public eye, and SW Group noticed too. Sophia's father reached out through a contact, asking me to call him back. I reflected for a moment, and decided not to. It wasn't out of spite, I just didn't know what more I could do for him. A few months later, after 3 arduous years, my project was finally concluding, and at the same time, I successfully proposed to Jennifer. The lab gave me extended leave. With no pressing issues to tackle, life grew a bit mundane. Perhaps sensing my inner thoughts, fate brought Sophia back to me. She showed up while I was helping Jennifer pick out a wedding dress. "Robert?" A mix of familiarity and strangeness stirred in me hearing that voice, but only for a moment. Seeing Sophia, I smiled. "Oh, it's you. What's up?" No false pleasantries, no real conversation. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "Robert, can we talk, please?" She bit her lip. I frowned, but Jennifer was there, gently squeezing my hand. "It's okay, Robert. Go ahead." I shook my head. "No need to go elsewhere. Say what you need to say here." I faced Sophia. Her lips moved, but tears fell first. "Robert, I was wrong about everything. I always thought Ethan saved me, but when I saw your scars that day, I realized you were the one. The doctor did say the person who saved me was hurt, but I foolishly believed Ethan's lies. I'm sorry," Sophia cried uncontrollably. I was surprised. She still hadn't moved past what she discovered 5 years ago. It's okay. I've moved on," I said with a smile and a shake of my head. But she wept even harder. "The night you left, I dreamt of being a beast. I dreamed I was married to you but had Ethan's baby through IVF, and I even burned you alive," she sobbed. "I wouldn't really do that, right?" I didn't know what to say. She already had. You don't know how long I've searched for you. You vanished for 5 years, and I looked for you every day. But by then I was pregnant with Ethan's child, so I married him. Still, my thoughts were always on you. I know it's wrong, but I can't let go. I miss you so much." Seeing Sophia's anguish, I believed her. "All right. What's done is done." I looked at Sophia and sighed. "Let's not bring this up again. When I left the Hawthorns, I cut ties with all of you. I didn't chase after what I was owed back then, and you guys shouldn't bother me now. Not getting in each other's way is the best choice we could make." I shook my head, sticking to what I believed. Sophia seemed choked up. "Robert, you don't know that after you left, Ethan took over the company. But he doesn't know a thing. He clearly said that if they just left it alone, the drug you started working on could be successful. But he just had to show off. In the end, the drug research flopped, and we had to pay a huge compensation," she ranted, tears still streaming down. "Then he trashed the company. He was out partying every night, dating a different woman every day, and even made Dad sick with worry several times. He even hit me whenever I said something he didn't like," she continued on her rant. But I just sighed, not interested in hearing her confessions. I grabbed Jennifer's tiny hand and stepped forward, telling Sophia, "All right, I'm getting married next week. If you want to swing by for a drink, that'd be fine." With that, I continued helping Jennifer pick out a wedding dress. Sophia abruptly stopped talking, but I didn't even spare her a glance. I have no idea when Sophia left. All I know is that the next time I heard about her was when SW Group went bankrupt, and Ethan fled abroad with the money. Sophia's father had a stroke out, of anger. Overcome with regret, Sophia jumped off the company building. I turned off the news. It's astonishing how two people who used to be as close as my family to me ended up like this. But today, I'm about to get married, with a packed house and a flood of blessings overwhelming me. Everything from the past no longer matters. Moving forward, I'll make sure to cherish my life with Jennifer.